All right, guys, what's up? This is going to be the first TFitX kind of workout vlog video where we just go through a workout and going to take you through it and try to give you guys like some tips and pointers along the way that you can take away for your own lifts to, hopefully get more swole. So today is going to be a basically back and arms. I'm doing a kind of specialized split right now where I am lifting 3 days on, 1 day off, and then that repeats. So it's an asynchronous split, which means it's not like every Monday is chest day and every Tuesday is back day. It's basically just I lift 3 days, take a day off, lift 3 days, take a day off, and that repeats. I am doing kind of a specialized split where I am hitting my shoulders and my arms a lot. And I've kind of brought back the volume a little bit on my chest, back, and legs. Just so I can kind of grow those areas a little bit more right now. I'm just going to do this for about maybe 6 weeks, and then we'll get back to more kind of a normal like push-pull legs-esque style. Just wanted to, I feel like some of those muscles were lagging, so I wanted to bring those up. And yeah, man. So I'm just going to do a quick warm-up here. I don't do anything too crazy for my warm-ups. Literally just try to get some blood flowing, move my spine around a little bit, do some side bend, some rotation, and I like to do these, open up my chest and back. Little arm circles. The main way I warm up is actually going to be more through just doing a light warm-up sets for whatever exercise I'm going to be doing. So first exercise today is going to be some pull-ups, some underhand style pull-ups. This is the new machine that I just put together about a month or two ago. We did a whole basement renovation. Double cable machine, also has a pull-up bar. I could do pull-ups on my squat rack, but I kind of like this one better for doing underhand pull-ups because the bar angles and it's just a little more comfortable on my wrist. So I'm only doing 3 sets, and that's really all the back work I'm doing today because I hit my back 3 times a week, basically. So I'm not doing a lot of volume per day of my back. So I'm going to warm up and honestly just do a little bit of dead hangs, kind of stretch out the lats. I like to do these kind of like scapular pull-ups where I'm basically doing a pull-up without bending my elbows. It's just a good little warm-up for some of those smaller muscles behind the shoulder. And then we'll do I'll just do like a slow 2 or 3 reps. That's kind of a warm-up. Now one thing I could do is I do have a lat pull down machine and I could warm up with some light underhand grip. But I feel pretty good today. Watch now, I'm gonna like tear a bicep or something, that'd be funny. So my goal for today is I gotta do 15 reps on set 1, 12 reps on set 2, and then set 3, we're just gonna see what we can get basically. All right, set 1, goal is 15 reps. You'll see I'm trying to really go slow on the way down and get a full stretch at the bottom. It's 12, I think. Ooh. Hopefully I counted right. I think that was 15. That felt pretty good. So as far as my rest period goes, normally I will rest a minimum of 90 seconds between sets. On more compound movements, like a pull-up, bench press, swing legs, I'll usually rest closer to 2 minutes. Sometimes on isolation exercises, like shoulders or biceps or calves, I might only rest a minute. But my goal of this workout is not cardio or to burn calories. It's to just get strong, I guess. So I've got my kind of intro workout shake here. This is just LMNT electrolytes, which is a really high sodium electrolyte. Then I've got some Ghost Size, which is basically creatine. Also has betaine, which There's some cool studies around betaine. It shows it could increase like muscular endurance. Pre-workout, I had some coffee, and then Ghost Pump, just like a nitric oxide booster type thing. There's nothing magical about pre-workouts. Just makes you feel good. They're not going to make you make like crazy more gains or anything. When it comes to supplements, creatine is really the main one that's going to have the most bang for your buck. And then if you have any vitamin or mineral deficiencies, like vitamin D, magnesium, just a multivitamin, those are kind of your most important supplements. And then protein, if you struggle to hit protein intake through whole foods. All right, we are on set 2. I need to get 12 reps. If for some reason I can't do 12, I will take a mini pause and then I'll finish them out. Let's 10. Oh yeah. I was like kind of 12. I kind of failed. I didn't quite get a full rep on number 12, but it's all good. So I'll do another rest here, and then we'll probably only be able to crank out like 7 or 8 maybe on this last set. This is definitely the most amount of volume I've been training in a while because I'm lifting between 5 and 6 days a week with this 3 on, 1 off split. But my workouts aren't crazy long. They're probably like 40 minutes on average. Some of them, if I'm really quick and I'm really on top of my rest times, I can get them done like 30 minutes. Since I've got the nice home gym, since we just kind of finished upgrading it, I've really been enjoying starting my day off with some sort of workout. I feel like I'm more productive from like a mental clarity, energy standpoint. And I think if you have the option, like instead of doing like 3 hour-long workouts per week, I think you would always be better to do 6 30-minute workouts. Just because no matter what, no matter how good in shape you are, if you're training hard, you're gonna get tired by the end of the workout. And you're gonna start to be able to, you're just not pushing as hard as you could be, not getting as close to failure as what failure really would be. So I think it's always better to do more workouts with shorter durations is almost always better. All right, set 3, see how many we can get here. I'm gonna try to be good about my form. Okay, I only got 6, but I definitely could have cranked more out if I was just kind of trying to, do some CrossFit style pull-ups, but we're good. Got a nice little back pump from just those 3 sets. And like I said, I'm training my back like 3 times a week, so I don't need to kill it in one session. All right, so next we have a newer exercise I've been doing, which is called the lying cable curl. I made a video about this on the channel not too long ago. Where basically you're just lying down with the cable machine and curling. And the benefit of this is that when we're doing this, you're basically not loading your spine at all, which gets rid of what's called axial fatigue. This isn't like a super big deal by any means, but it's basically just less fatiguing when you lay down instead of standing up and curling it, because it takes that load off of your back. So that was just a little warm-up set. So my working set here is going to be 55 pounds. And I think my goal this week is 13 reps. So the way I do my progressions and how I go, progressive overload, whenever I start a new mesocycle or a new phase of lifting, usually those mesos last 6 to 8 weeks, usually 6 weeks. Week 1, I will always aim to start about 1 rep in reserve. 3 reps in reserve, which means I could do about 3 more reps until failure. And then after that, every week I just add a rep, or I keep the weight, or I will keep the reps the same, but I add about 5 pounds. So it just depends which way I go. So for this one, I've been adding a rep. So I started week 1, 55 for 10 reps. Now I'm in week 3 or 4, and we're doing 13 reps is the goal. Sometimes you slide, so sometimes it helps to keep your foot on something. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, 13. And you don't have to be perfect with the whole reps in reserve thing. Like at the end of the day, you just need to train hard. As long as your reps are slowing down by the end of your set, but your form's not breaking down, you're probably fine. I will say, I definitely have seen some very solid bicep growth this phase because I am training my biceps 4 times a week basically, or 4 times in my like 8-day microcycle since of this 3 on 1 off thing that I'm doing. So basically every other training session, I hit my biceps. Wouldn't recommend this for like a beginner. Not like I'm some insanely advanced lifter, but I'm moderately advanced. It definitely helps. Like if you want to grow something and it's being stubborn and not growing with what you've been doing, as long as your nutrition and your sleep and whatnot is dialed in, it makes sense to give it more volume. But you got to be careful with this, is you can't just add volume and keep adding and adding. If you're going to add volume somewhere, you probably need to take away volume elsewhere. So that's why I'm not training my chest, my back, or my legs super hard. I'm pulling back a little bit on them so that I can put more emphasis into my arms and my shoulders for kind of like 6 weeks or so. Whew. All right, that was pretty good. One thing I will do, and I'm being kind of bad about it since I'm filming, is I'm being inconsistent with my rest times. Not that it's a big deal, as long as you're, as long as you're not like breathing crazy hard, and as long as that muscle group that you're targeting feels like it's like relatively recovered, you can go again. But I am setting a timer on my phone to give me a reminder so that I rest for enough time, but not too long. So on this next set, I'm going to do what's called my art. This is something that Dr. Mike Israel talks a lot, and I've just started incorporating it, and I really like it. It's really good to do on isolation exercises. You don't necessarily want to do it on like a compound movement, like bench or legs or something. Basically, the way it works is my goal is to do the same amount of reps as my first set, which was 13. But because I'm into my set 3 right now, I'm probably not going to be able to get 13 in one clean set. So I'm going to basically go until failure, which will probably be like 10 or 11, and then rest for just like 5 seconds and then finish it. So this just allows you to get a little bit more volume in, but we're approaching failure multiple times. And we know from basically science that when you lift close to failure, that stimulates muscle growth a lot. So, but you have to be careful about doing this because it also means your systemic fatigue builds up, and you can't just always lift to failure and everything. So, especially on smaller muscle groups like biceps, it's not as big of a deal to do this. Okay, so that was 10. So I'm gonna rest for just a few seconds, then I got 3 more. 11, 12. Oh. Whew. And you'll notice another big thing that I'm doing is I'm not crazy slow on my eccentric when I'm lowering the weight, but it's controlled. They did some studies where they compared how long you controlled the eccentric. So on a bicep curl, that's when I'm extending my arms. And basically they found that as long as you control the weight for about 2 seconds, it doesn't really matter what you do. So whether you control it for 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, muscle growth is basically the same. Let's say you're someone that you have joint problems. What you can do is you can use a lighter weight and then do a longer eccentric, like 5 to 6 seconds. And because you're going to have more time under tension, you should be able to get similar gains compared to if you were lifting heavy and only controlling for about 2 seconds. Now, I think there is benefit in changing things up. I would say in a perfect world, I think just lifting heavy with good form and good technique and good control is best, but it's a good option every now and then to change it up and do some slow eccentrics. So I've got one more set. Another thing that I've been doing is when I started this meso, all of my kind of secondary muscle groups, I was only doing about starting with 2 sets. So like anything that wasn't biceps or shoulders, because that's my focus this meso. But all of my arm stuff and my shoulders, I started with 3 sets. If I was not getting very sore, then I will add a set each workout. So I started with only 3 sets of this exercise, but like the first few weeks I wasn't really getting sore. So now I'm doing a 4th set just to do more volume. And this again will also be a myo rep. 5, 6, 7. I will say my right bicep is feeling it right now. And I know my right arm is weaker than my left. Okay, so I'm at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I got 2 more. I probably could have maybe cranked out 2 more, but my form would have sucked. So I'd rather take a mini rest. 12. 13. Whew. Okay. That was pretty good. All right, so I am just keeping track of my workouts here. I do use an app to track mine. You don't have to do this. You could perfectly just use your notepad and just follow that progression tip that I gave about going up 1 rep or 5 pounds every week. But I use the RP Hypertrophy app, which is Dr. Mike Israel's app. It kind of just does the work for you. And based on the feedback you get, it'll add sets, change your reps, all that. But I will definitely say the app is awesome. I love it. It's a tad pricey. And if you know what you're doing, you don't need it. But if you don't know what you're doing and you're not working with a coach, then it's definitely not a bad idea. All right, so I've got one more bicep exercise for the day. This is a cable rope twist curl. So we're gonna use the rope and do like a hammer curl. But at the top, I'm gonna supinate my wrist out to get a little bit more of a kind of peak contraction. The contraction, you've probably heard a lot of people be like, oh, it's all about the stretch, bro. And I completely agree that I think picking exercises that favor the stretch is, if your goal is hypertrophy, is probably a little bit better. But at the same time, I don't think we should be neglecting the contraction, which is the top of the exercise, the squeeze part. I think there's still benefit there as well. So I like to kind of, in a perfect world, if I'm doing 2 exercises for a body part, 1 exercise will be more of a stretch emphasis, and then 1 will be more of a peak emphasis. I think is a really good way to balance it. But if you want to go all stretch, there's nothing wrong with that either. All right, I'm gonna do 1 quick warm-up set here. So my working weight is 40. This is 25. So I'll normally pick a weight that's about 50% or maybe a tad over and just do a few. So the way this is done is we're gonna just curl our wrist at the top. Easy peasy. And again, I'm gonna squeeze at the top, but I'm also gonna take my time and have a nice control on the way down and try to feel that stretch as much as I can. All right, so the goal here is 15 reps. It's 12. All right, that was 15. Felt pretty good. Got a nice solid pumperooski going here, not gonna lie. As far as rep ranges go, I just change it up. Like, I'm not someone who's like, oh, you got to be 12 to 15. It's a hypertrophy zone, bro. I like to lift heavy. This kind of mesocycle, I'm not lifting very heavy because since arms and shoulders are my emphasis, on smaller muscle groups, I think it makes more sense to kind of stay in that like 8+ reps, like 8 to 15, maybe even 8 to 20. But like, I know my next mesocycle, I'm gonna shift back and hit a lot more chest and back and legs. And I'll probably go heavy-ish, especially on chest and back. I'll probably do like more like sets of 5 to 8 for those. Basically, research says that anywhere from 5 to 30 reps, as long as you're training close to failure, the results in hypertrophy are the same. So, you know, when you start doing more powerlifting and you're doing sets of only 1 to 4 reps, you're still going to gain muscle and get hypertrophy. But at that point, you are definitely shifting some of that focus of training towards your CNS and like just your power output. So if you want the best of both worlds, if you want to be strong and jacked, then you can lift in that 5 to 8 range and get a little bit of both. And that's kind of my goal, is because I like lifting heavy, especially upper body. I'm pretty strong at it. I would love to lift heavy lower body. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of knee injuries from playing football, and it's a lot better. I've been really working on my rehab process. I know, looks like I skipped leg day, but it's getting better. We're hopefully going to get to a point where we can start getting back to some moderately heavy squats. So I did 15 again there. I was technically supposed to do a myo rep there, but I was able to get all 15 in one set. So, which is good because that means I'm getting stronger. And that's really one of the biggest things to pay attention to. Is a lot of people pay attention to, they get in their head about like their aesthetics, and they're like, I don't know if I'm getting bigger, bro. I need to change what I'm doing. If you just track how much volume you're lifting, if you're getting stronger, if you're doing more reps, and that's consistently going up, you're probably A-okay, and you are probably getting bigger on top of getting stronger. Strength and muscle size is not 100% correlated, but it's pretty correlated. So pay attention to your performance, how you feel, and aesthetics will follow. All right, one more set. This will probably have to be a myo rep match. Going for 15. All right, that was 11. So I got 4 more. And literally, just like rack it, catch your breath, and get back after it. All right, so next we're going to move on to triceps. One thing also to take note of is the order you do your lifts. So I put my biceps first because I care about my biceps a little bit more right now. I feel like my arms in general need to catch up to my chest and back, but I think my biceps need more catching up. So that's why I'm putting my biceps first. And they're also getting a little bit more volume in my triceps this meso. So we're gonna do a tricep cable kickback. Tricep kickbacks, like with a dumbbell, where you just bend over and do this, are horrible. It's like just, there's zero tension. You only get tension at the contraction and like literally none for like all of here. But if you do it with a cable, it's pretty good because you keep tension on your tricep the whole time. I just kind of grab it by the ball joint or whatever this is. You usually want to hold on to something. So this is just a warm up here. And like I say, I'm just doing a few reps. Get the muscle warmed up, kind of get a feel for the motion. And then we'll jump into a working set. All right, so I got 30 pounds for 13 reps on each arm. These ones are interesting. These are not like an S tier tricep exercise for me because you actually have to use a lot of your like upper back and kind of like rear delt to stabilize this exercise. I think like a traditional tricep push down or overhead or skull crusher is probably better, but I put this in just because I was like, I haven't done it in a while and I like to do things differently every once in a while. But if you've never done it with a cable, give it a try. It's a lot better. So one thing you'll also have probably noticed by now is doing a lot of my exercises. Basically all of them have been on this machine. And one thing, freaking love having this machine. It's so nice. Normally most of my exercises are gonna be like barbell, dumbbell type stuff. But since I just got this machine, I kind of intentionally programmed a lot of cable exercises. I don't have a big opinion on like barbell, dumbbell, cable machines. One's better than the other. I think they all have their purpose. But because I just got the machine, I was like, I want to use it. So, but there's so much you can do with a machine like this. One thing you also notice is I am going as far as I can go up. I'm not just stopping at 90. I'm a big supporter of just lift full range of motion. If that means you need to lift a little bit lighter, I think it's better for you. Your joints will be better protected. You'll be stronger in all range of the motion. And you'll probably grow more muscle too. I think for this last set, I'm actually gonna drop my weight a little bit lighter and do more reps. I notice with these, because this is not a very stable exercise, my form breaks down the more tired I get and the heavier I go. Hi, Fief. Hi, buddy. You come to say hi? Hi. So that's why I don't, it's a good exercise, but it's not my favorite. So I'm gonna go lighter so that I can have a little bit more strict form. Also, when you're doing unilateral exercises, like one arm at a time, you don't have to rest as much. You can kind of just, as long as you're not like super gassed, you can just, keep going if you want to. So I still only got 13, which is what I did on my first set, but my form was way better. And I think that's a pretty good trade-off. You'll also see that I always led with my right arm. I am left-handed, and my left side is definitely stronger. So whatever my weak side is, I'm doing unilateral, lead with the weak side. All right, last arm exercise of the day. We got just some classic tricep rope pushdowns. Honestly, the bar is probably better than the rope. It's more stable. There's nothing magical about changing your grip on triceps. It's your triceps don't involve with your forearm, whereas your biceps are involved with your forearm. So when you change your grip from like a hammer curl to a supinated curl on your biceps, it changes the way your biceps are recruited. However, on triceps, it literally doesn't matter. And because the bar is more stable, you can usually lift more weight on a tricep bar pushdown. But I do tricep bar pushdowns later in the week. So for the sake of variance, I'm doing the rope. Could I just do the bar twice in 1 week and do like different rep ranges? Yeah, but the rope is also fine. All right, we got 12 there. As you can see, definitely just trying to get, I like to be kind of like quick on the concentric, like semi-explosive, but controlled. But then decently controlled on the eccentric, and take a second and a half to 2 seconds on the way up. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do another ow, dude, leave me alone. What do you want? I'm gonna do another my rep match. I got 12 on my first set. So I'm gonna go for 12 here. Okay, that's 9. You also see that I keep my elbows tucked to my side and I'm not moving my elbows with this. When you do that, you just get your back involved, which that's not the goal of this exercise. All right. And also, if this is the first time you've ever seen someone talking about myo reps, don't feel like you have to do these. There's nothing like just training close to failure on most of your sets is perfectly fine. But if you've been training for a decent while and you feel like your growth is kind of stagnating and you feel like you're doing a good job with nutrition, hitting your protein intake, your sleep is good, recovery is good, all that fun stuff, definitely a good idea to try and add some like intensity modifiers like myo reps, drop sets, supersets, things like that, just to, change it up. All right, that's 9. 3 more. Whew. All right, that was a good arm day. So I'm still gonna do one ab exercise. I don't train my abs a ton, but I like to do rotational abs and like anti-rotation, just as part of like, protecting my core. Generally, if you're doing, lots of compound movements, your abs are gonna get trained plenty. And although yes, you definitely can train your abs, the one piece of advice I will give you is don't just do a bunch of circuits and try to get them to burn. Train them like any other muscle and do, sets of like 8 to 15 and load them, go heavy and try to get stronger in them instead of just like going for 5 minutes straight of some dumb circuit. We'll hit a little flexaroonie here. Got a good pump today, feeling pretty good. All right, so last ab exercise is gonna be a rotation, like a cable trunk rotation. So basically, it's kind of like you're, swinging a baseball bat. But we're keeping our arms straight and controlling on the way back. There's nothing magical about this exercise, I feel like, in terms of like getting a shredded six-pack. But like I said, I just like doing rotational stuff just because like I don't train it a lot otherwise. And like when you suddenly rotate in real life, that's like how you get hurt. So it's good to train just to protect your core. All right, guys, that is the workout. It's a pretty good lift. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If so, we will definitely start doing more of these videos where I'll take you through my different workouts and just talk and give you some tips along the way. And yeah, if you're new here, subscribe. If you guys are kind of struggling on where to go with your own, lifting, health, and fitness journey, I do one-on-one online personal training. There's a link in the description. You can apply for free, and then we can talk and see if it works out for you. But otherwise, appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one.